You committed to the change, felt motivated, maybe it even lasted a few weeks, and then, without warning, you slipped back. Now you're left wondering if it was laziness or you just didn't try hard enough. It was neither. It's something else entirely. Over the next 15 minutes, not only will the mystery be solved, you'll know what to do about it. People think change doesn't stick because of weakness, but most people don't understand the psychology of how change actually works. You're doing what seems obvious, and that's exactly why it fails. Willpower, discipline, trying harder, all of it misses the point and ends up trapping you. Lasting change doesn't happen by forcing yourself to be different. It's actually simpler and easier than that. When you get this right, change becomes automatic. No fighting yourself and no relapsing. Instead, you wake up to the truth. I'm going to show you the psychology that makes change stick using Neuro Linguistic Programming, NLP. This is what I've used for over a decade to transform my life and help hundreds of clients do the same. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why your past attempts didn't work and what to do instead. Change lasts when you stop forcing yourself and start connecting with what actually matters to you. That's when change becomes obvious and effortless. It really is that simple. It's only difficult when you don't know how to do it. When you try to force change, you rely on willpower, and willpower always runs out. But when change connects to what you genuinely care about, you don't need to force it. You just do it. Most people try to change through sheer effort. They fight their internal resistance, and it works. For a while. Until it doesn't. You can fight yourself until the end of your life, but victory just means you defeated yourself. Not only is it unnecessary, that kind of change is unsatisfying and unfulfilling. According to self-determination theory, when your motivation shifts from external pressure to your internal values, discipline and willpower are no longer needed. In fact, you'll see them for what they are, just a crutch that won't get you to where you want to go. Unfortunately, most people believe that enough willpower and discipline is all that stands in the way of the change they want. It's not. Identity-based change research suggests change sticks when it's integrated into your self-concept rather than treated as a temporary goal. For example, instead of setting a goal to make $20,000 more this year, you focus on being a successful person in whatever way you define success. More money is a given, but now it's connected to something bigger. So how do you apply this to make the changes you want and make them stick? Here are 3 simple steps that I use on myself and with my clients, and I might just throw in an extra bonus at the end as well. The first step is clarity. Without it, you'll keep snapping back from the changes you make. On the first session with a new client, I always start with the same question. What do you want? Without understanding what you want down to the deepest levels of your unconscious, you're just feeling around in the dark, hoping you stumble across it. Some people tell me they don't know what they want. What then? Then what you want is to be clear about what you want. Start there. Without clarity, you have no direction, no target, no pathway. If you're starving and your favorite food is in front of you, you don't need to motivate yourself. You eat. That's clarity. Simple, powerful, and often overlooked. Bring that level of clarity to what you want out of life, and change becomes obvious and automatic. When people try to change without clarity about what they want, it feels empty and meaningless. It doesn't take hold. So how do we arrive at this clarity? By understanding your deeper unconscious intentions. A word that sums this up is value. Do you know your values? Most people think they do, but what they actually know are the values they were told should be important to them. A value is something that's deeply important to you, not what society told you should matter. For example, if you enjoy passionate experiences and it's important to you to experience passion, passion is one of your values. Every passionate experience you've had is a clue about how you fulfill passion. The best way to uncover your values is to think of something you want and then ask yourself, what's important to you about getting it? What will it do for you? This is a simple and powerful exercise that will connect you with endless motivation and guide you toward what will fulfill you. For the complete exercise, there's a link in the description for a free PDF on values elicitation. It will walk you through the process to make your unconscious values conscious so you know how to align with them. But knowing your values isn't the whole story. Use your values as guides to know the direction you want to go. Then the changes you need to make to get there become more obvious. Once you've done that, it's time to take action. Nothing works faster to get what you want than knowing the changes you want to make and then acting on them. You can't just live in your head, and you can only work so much out on paper. When you take action and get feedback, that creates clarity like nothing else can. At the same time, it's moving you closer to what you want. When I got divorced, I was clear about what I value in a relationship, but I didn't know what kind of woman I was looking for. I felt clueless. So I treated dating like research. Each date gave me feedback. That feedback created clarity, and that clarity led me to my wife. At this point, you might be thinking that everything I've said so far sounds nice. You might already be clear about what you want and the changes it will take to get there, but something is holding you back. This brings us to the second step. Congruence is being clear about what you want and aligning with it minus any resistance. Sometimes you're very clear, but something is stopping you from going for it. Most of the time, this resistance is unconscious. You're conscious that something is getting in the way of the changes you want to make, but you're not conscious of where it's coming from and how to deal with it. People call this self-sabotage. It's not, but I'll get to that in a moment. Most people don't understand their resistance, so they get frustrated. They start believing in pop psychology ideas like fear of success, which just makes the problem worse. This is when people go to war with themselves, or they slip into a state of hopelessness because it feels like nothing they do makes a difference. It's time to change the way you think about this. Resistance is part of who you are. Fighting it is fighting yourself. What you want to do is understand the resistance. Discover its positive intention. There's always a positive intention at the root of resistance. All parts of you are valid, and so are their intentions. It only appears in your conscious mind as resistance. Resistant parts are usually born from negative feelings, especially negative feelings experienced early in life. If you touch a hot stove, your hand jerks away automatically. That's a natural response. But when pain is emotional, meaning it's happening inside of you, you can't pull away. So you create an imaginary border to wall it off and isolate it from the rest of you. But when you do that, you lose access to inner resources. Your attempt to move away from emotional pain only traps it inside you and keeps it from healing. The solution is not to fight or demonize it. The solution is integrating our resistant parts so that you experience wholeness and completeness. When you have that wholeness, your focus is clear and your efforts aren't restrained. In other words, there's nothing in your way. Sometimes resistance doesn't come from trying to move away from pain. Sometimes resistance is your inner wisdom trying to tell you that the change you want is not good for you. I'll come back to this in a moment. When you experience resistance, think of it as an opportunity to integrate and become more whole. There's a process called parts integration that will help you recognize resistance, understand it, and integrate it. In the description under this video, you'll also find a link to a free PDF on how to do this. As I mentioned before, your resistance can be inner wisdom holding you back because your unconscious knows that the changes you want to make are not aligned with your deeper values. When changes are not aligned with your values, the change will feel empty and it will not stick. An example of this in my life was my insurance agency. I went into insurance because I wanted freedom. Freedom is a value. Joy and passion are also two of my highest values in my career. I was clear I wasn't going to get joy and passion from selling insurance, but I thought if I could buy my freedom, I'd be free to pursue my joys and passions. Think of cutting off two legs of a three-legged stool. I had nothing to stand on. Without fulfilling joy and passion, fulfilling freedom became impossible. Never sell out your highest values for only one value. It doesn't work. I wasn't congruent with insurance. For 5 years, I pretended I was. My inner wisdom didn't buy it, and it resisted. In fact, it knew that the worst thing that could happen to me was to become successful at insurance. It would have locked me into a golden jail cell. After all of the work and pain it would have taken and the money I would have made, it would have been too hard to walk away from and start over. Think about areas of your life where you might be doing the same thing, trying to succeed at something that goes against your values. Save yourself years of frustration. Choose to pursue something that is aligned with your values and notice how much easier and more enjoyable it is to make the changes necessary to go after it. So far, you know your values and you've dealt with your resistance to change. Now you might be concerned about the ways the changes you make could disrupt other parts of your life. That's a valid concern. It takes us to the final step. Ecology is external congruence. If I change, what might I lose? This is important because it's often holding people back and they don't realize it. I worked with someone who was congruent with getting healthy, but he had an ecological issue with losing weight. He loved his job and his coworkers. All his coworkers were overweight and ate bad food. He thought that if he started eating healthy, they would no longer accept him. That's an ecology issue. He held himself back from losing weight out of fear of not being a part of his group. We talked it out. Sometimes an ecology issue is real. Sometimes the cost of disruption isn't worth it. But oftentimes it is worth it, especially if you're clear and congruent with the change. That was the case with my client. When we discussed his values of health and longevity, we had to weigh the cost of losing these relationships. He realized that getting healthier was worth it, even if he lost these friends. If he hadn't consciously come to this choice, he might have allowed circumstances to make his choice for him. On the first day that he showed up with his healthy lunch, everyone might have laughed at him. Out of fear of not being accepted, he might have continued eating poorly and not exercising. Aware of the stakes, he accepted the possible consequences in advance. After he made his choice, I asked him, are they really your friends if they're trying to hold you back from being healthy? A true friend would want you to be healthy even if they're not doing it themselves. He agreed. Fortunately, his friends didn't feel threatened by his new healthy eating habits. When he showed up to work with his wholesome lunch, all he heard from them was encouragement. This is something you want to check. Is there anything externally you're afraid you'll disrupt if you change? Is it worth it? Don't assume it is. When I was coming to terms with my marriage not working and my insurance business making me miserable, I got a profound feeling that I was going to disappoint people I cared about. My dad is an insurance agent. He helped me with my agency. If I left after all his help and him wanting me to be an agent like him, that would disappoint him. Going to my wife and telling her the marriage wasn't working, that would disappoint her. It would also disappoint my kids. It would disappoint everyone who liked us as a couple. I had to give this considerable thought. Finally, I realized, yes, there was going to be a high cost, but I knew what was at stake beforehand, rather than going in blindly. I was willing to accept disappointing people I cared about to make this change. Thinking this through made it so it wasn't a surprise. I knew it was coming and accepted it in advance. To this day, I don't regret those decisions. When you have clarity, you're congruent with your values, and you know the costs and accept them, change sticks. Often when I'm working with clients and they experience a profound shift, they ask, will this last? So I go through a congruence check. I ask, is there any resistance or objection to this change? If they say no, then there's no reason the change won't stick. An object in motion stays in motion unless another force acts upon it. When you make changes with clarity about what you want, gravitating toward what you want is natural. If you're congruent with it, nothing is in your way. And if there are ecological issues, you've sorted them and know what you're willing to accept. Here's the bonus tip. One of the great things about being clear about your values is that you can change your mind if something isn't working for you. Never commit fully to a change or a goal. Commit 100% to your values. The changes you want to make and the goals you want to achieve serve the values you want to fulfill, not the other way around. If they don't, choose different goals, make different changes. When you know your values, you become flexible because it's not about specific outcomes. It's about fulfilling those values. Values are general rather than specific, which gives you many possibilities to fulfill them. Where people get hung up most in this process is their inner resistance. They give it names like self-sabotage, which covers up what's really happening. If you want to understand this better and make sure you don't get tripped up, check out this next video, Signs Your Subconscious Mind is Outsmarting You. You'll learn to recognize any inner resistance or objections and integrate them, or at least listen to them in case they're your inner wisdom telling you something that's not right for you.